This
That's going to be
conference
very
will
useful.
now be recorded.
The Spark implementation. If you go to the Spark, a lot of Spark dependent more on this collection. So because our target why you learn Scala is one thing is to make sure that we are doing better with Spark. That is the reason here. Okay. Second reason is of course. So one language, if you are really fit with one language, definitely that helps you in learning any other languages. If you really concentrate and if you implement it well, I know most of you are good at, with what you are doing. Definitely, no doubt about that. But if you are doing that harmoniously and with dedication, other languages like Python or like Java, because most of them become so simple for us. That is the only simple thing we need to understand. But anyhow, let me switch to my our topic today. So it's access modifiers, guys. What is an access modifier? Still, I think after introducing this objects, classes, and objects, uh, 1 minute, guys. Somebody is asking for a link. I don't know who is it. Who is it? 1 minute, guys. Let me see. Let me share the link to this guy, guys. 1 minute, so that we can continue. So, but we didn't discuss about this thing, right? What is that? Access modifiers. Today, let us quickly get some idea on this and let us see like what kind of keywords are available in Scala, and is there any difference in Scala comparative to Java or other languages. We'll quickly get some idea there, and then we'll switch to the next topic. That is a few more things were there: anonymous object, and one more is singleton objects or companion objects. Once we finish that, then we will switch to the inheritance topic of this. And also, I told you we will discuss something about setters and getters, right? A POSO kind of class. How do you define it? No. So even that we'll see, like how we can define a simple POSO kind of class. So with that, you get more, you get keep getting more and more idea about the things in object oriented. See, there is so much here because language is something people keep telling, right? It's an ocean, and there are many things here keep coming. But only thing is, we have to focus on the core things and then move to the next thing like that. Okay. So when you talk about this object oriented programming, this one we definitely access modifiers plays an important role. Got it, right? Correct. Will you agree? This one is okay. 725. Okay, let's continue. Yeah, correct. Correct, Srikanth. We have discussed what is it? Constructor overloading. So we have continued that in the last session, correct? Okay, let's continue, guys. So access modifiers, what is it? When it is something private, when it is protected, and when it is public. Okay, private, protected, and public. Suppose if you go to Java, you have something called default. There are 4 access modifiers there. But in Scala, we don't have 4, we have 3. And suppose if you don't use public, there is no such thing like public modifier. This is just a default one because it's not a keyword. But the other two were keywords. Other 2 access modifiers were keywords. Okay. So let me talk on this. I'm using a simple program just to quickly give you an idea about these access modifiers. So this is a class. And usually we declare the access modifiers in a class. And also we apply this for a package as well. Okay. Still, I didn't introduce the topic of packages to you. When I introduce, we'll talk more on that. But still, nothing to worry about it. But we'll just a quick idea about all this stuff. Okay? So first thing, I'm removing all this, just making it a simple version of the program, so that you get a quick idea. Now I'm removing the constructor as well, not necessary. So you don't need these many variables this time, just to talk about private, protected, and public thing. And here you can see just initialize with 10 and 20 here. You don't need again, what is that? That parameter initialization. And but sorry, here you just need to have a simple object should be little modified, and then you don't need 2 braces, closing braces, 1 is enough. So this is a perfect program. Now I am talking about first thing. I talk about private. Okay, let me talk about private access modifier. So what do you mean by private, guys? Something like, if you declare something as private, we can access them only within a class. It is accessible only within that class itself. It is not accessible even outside that class. Such modifier is private. You got it right now. So what is a private modifier means? I'll just make a quick note of it. Okay. It is something like this. When you declare something as private, if we declare a member as private, so what is the, we are applying a restriction here, a pure restriction. Okay, restriction is we can access such member anything. It might be a variable, it might be a method, it might be a parameter. Usually we declare that with methods. Okay, it might be a parameter. So if you declare any member as a private, okay, we can access such member only within a class. Only within a class. Most of you might have some idea on this, but still a quick idea, quick understanding. Okay? Only within a class, and we cannot access them outside a class. You understand this? So, for example, how do we declare it with this thing? Let me show you here. Something like private. Okay, let me make it as a private here, and let me make this as private. Just before that variable, declare it with private. Got it? It's a private variable. Now you see the difference now. A quick understanding and the most simplest understanding here. When we declare something as private, You do one thing, declare them it, just print them, print of a1, okay, then say print of b1. You know, right, when I do prints directly means what, if I am not using any method and if I try to print this variables directly inside a class, means what, do you think there is a method here or not? Definitely. Without having a method, it's impossible to have print statements like this. Got it, right? Okay, if you go and do this in Java, it will give left and right to everyone there. You know why? Java doesn't allow to declare this print statements, this logics, everything directly in the class itself. You have to declare them inside a method. It allows only that variables to be declared inside a class directly. Okay, and this prints everything, it has to go into the method. That is very important. But Scala is much more optimized than Java. Okay, so what is the point here? These are part of constructor, you know, a default constructor. Now that will be automatically called when object is created. I taught all this in the last class. Now what I am doing is so print now I want to call this variables. You just say that okay, a1 dot. Can you see when I say a1 on the reference of a? You know, right? I have even explained the internal architecture of an object. Object holds instance variables. These variables of class. But when I say a1 dot, when I say dot, it should show you all the list of variables, methods, everything that is present in the class A. But you know, when I scroll down little, okay, you can see here I'm not able to find any such methods or any such variables which are part of A. Of course, there are no methods, only variables. You know why? Because these are private variables. You know, guys, private variables are visible only within that class. And object is some other construct. Okay, it's another kind of singleton class. You cannot see the variable of this private variable of A class in this test. Okay, this is another entity. Separate object is another entity. So I cannot see that when I say A dot, I cannot see the list of those variables of A in the list of these members on the reference of A itself. Suppose remove private there on any one of these. You do one thing. Just remove private. Okay, and here also what is that? Remove private. Okay, you can remove one just for testing. You don't need to remove both. You know, I just removed it like that. Can you see this now? When I remove private, immediately you are able to find that variables on this reference here, right? Means what? This is clear idea. What is that? If a member is private, those members are visible only within that class. Okay, you see that, right? So now you can say a1 dot a1. Don't think that both are same. A1 is reference of A class. So for difference A, I put it as A just to have some difference, not to get confused. You can print the other variable as well here. You can make it as B1. And how many times this A is printed here? 2 times. One within the class inside the constructor, one outside the class within this test, that is inside the main. But you find the difference, right? If we declare it as a private, you see now, I make this as private, immediately you can see an error here. You got it? So what is a private member here? A private member is a member which is visible only within that class. And we can access them only inside the class. Suppose you ask me a question. If that is the case, then what is the advantage of having private variables? If they are only useful within a class itself, then what is the use? It's like asking a question. You have crores of money, you put that in your bank, you are not at all using them. That is, then what is the use of having that crores in the bank? It's like this question. Then my answer is, what I am saying is, you cannot, these variables are not directly visible outside, right? If you put your money in the bank, is that money is visible to everyone? Tell me. But there is a way for getting that money out from the bank, right? What is that? Some you send some of your assistant, okay, to get that money. Okay, he will get and give it to you. But you don't expose all that crores in the bank account to everyone. Hey, I got this crores of money, correct, right? Even private variables are that. When variable is private, it's not visible to other classes. But still, we can access the outside. The approach is using some method of what? The existing class. Now I think if you see here, you remove this spreads here. Don't try to access private members. Now you declare both of these members as private. Okay. Now you run the constructor. Now this time, when you execute this program, still you can see the values of A and B. Why? I am able to access the members of A class, private members of A class through the constructor. Here I am trying to print in the constructor itself. Some of you who missed the previous sessions might think, where is the constructor? Where did you declare? I told in the previous sessions, if you don't declare any constructor, by default, one primary default constructor exists, and whatever statements you declared in a class, those go into that constructor. Those statements get into that constructor. Got it right? So that's the point. Means there is a constructor here, default one. Then the statements are part of that. Remember, keep in mind. Okay, let me run it. Now you are able to see 10 and 20. Of course, you can move them, push them to the next line by applying println, not an issue. Here also you can apply println. So that is not something to be worried. And this is a quick idea about what is that a private variable. And suppose if I don't declare this member as private and this one as private, then what is the visibility of these members, guys? What is the visibility? Visibility or access modifier, all these are nothing but same. The visibility of these members are nothing but by default they are public members, and there is no keyword to declare public in Scala. If you don't use any access modifier with a variable or a method or a class, then such members are public members. Okay, you got it right. You can declare even let me just show you. I'm using a method now. I said def m1. Okay, in this m1 I'm just declaring this prints. Okay, instead of using constructor. Now maybe if you want, you can declare this as an unit and then you can apply some assignment to that. Now I make this method as private here. Then what's the meaning of this? When you declare a method as private, that method is accessible only within that class and it is not visible outside that class. Means if it is not visible, you cannot access. Correct, right? Got it. So point is, we can declare private with variables, private with methods, and you can declare private with constructor. That is also there. You can ask me, how do we declare private as constructors? You can see here, I declared that just before method, it became private method. Okay. Likewise, now if you try to get this method outside this class, right? So far we have done so much of programming. Accessing method outside a class is not something difficult for all of us, right? So I just say a.m1, this won't work here. Why? Because this is a private member, and when a member is private, we cannot access that outside a class. Okay, fine. Then another question is, so okay, sir, you told that we can declare private with variables. Let me just quickly tell you. We can declare the access modifier private. Where we can declare this? With what all members we can declare? Private can be declared with variables, and then it can be declared with methods, and it can be declared with constructors. Okay, and it can be declared with class, and it can be okay. Even try it by default. I think it should be private. I will test it. I'm not sure on that. So we'll talk about try it when we go there. Okay. So like this, with all this, you can declare private. Trait is more or less like an interface in Java. Okay. When we go there, we'll discuss, because traits are also very important to discuss. So that's about this thing. So now the point is, we'll just quickly test all this, and so that you get an idea. If I declare method as private, we cannot access them outside the class. It is visible only within a class. Of course, if you ask me, sir, if you are not able to access methods outside, then there is no meaning in declaring that, right? That might be the question. Correct. If method is private, what is it? There is no meaning in that at all. Got it? Because method should be public, variable should be private. I'll talk about all that. Standards of doing coding. Once I introduce everything to you, the public, private, and protected, how should we declare variables? How should we declare methods? What should be the access of variables? What should be the access of methods? What are the standards followed in a real-time code? And most of you know that, but still, as a part of this journey, we'll have a quick idea about it. So I'm just removing this private with method. Then the curious part is, how do you declare constructor as private? Because if it is like a method, you can put private in front of that, but constructor is part of class itself. It is built with class itself, you know that. And how do I make it as a private? Then here also same, you know, right? If constructor is coming with the class name, then you can make it like this. Put a parenthesis. Somehow we are getting it. 1 minute. Identifier expected, but what it is saying? Let's make. The issue is, I don't think it is the issue with the class. 1 minute. Let me make a comment to this. Put a comment on this. Let's comment this. No, the issue with class itself. One minute, guys. Because I have seen it before I come to this. We are allowed to make private constructor, primary constructor private by using private keyword. That's fine. In between the class name and constructors parameter list. Okay. Let me just try this guy. Can make it like this. Okay. Okay, small change, guys. Yeah. It's a little syntactical thing. So then, if that is the case, we have to take it a little forward here. We have to keep this private here. Now it's all is well here. Can you see this now? The private has to come after identifier, not before identifier, because between class and class name, we cannot allow anything in between them, because it's a standard syntax, class name. So private has to come in between the class name and the parameter list like this. Now you can put private here in between these two, class name and the parameter list. And for a default constructor, it's up to you to use this parenthesis or remove parenthesis. There is no issue there. Okay, but now this class is a private class. When it is private, you know what happens when you declare a class as private? Any idea? So one thing is, let me create an object. Let me try to call this members, and let us see what happens here. See, if I try to create an object, something is stopping me. I'm getting an error here. Can you see this? Read the error. What is that? Constructor cannot be accessed in object.test. Means what? It's very clear. If your constructor is private, we cannot instantiate that class. Can you see this? Very beautiful point. If constructor is private, we cannot instantiate that class. Why? Even constructor is a method. We have a clear discussion. If something is private in a class, then they are visible only within that class. It is not visible outside. Now you are trying to call that constructor here from outside the class, then it leads to compilation. You got all these things right? So that's what the issue is. Okay, you got it right. So these are all the important points you need to remember when it comes with private here. Okay, so that's all about private, guys, like the access modifier private. And by default, if you don't use private, it's public. And the visibility of public means universal. They can be accessible everywhere. Okay, public is something like it is accessible everywhere, within the class, outside the class, within the same package, outside the package. If you ask me what is that package, we are hearing something new here. Just wait till I discuss the topic packages, so that I will give a clean idea about the visibility of members within a package. What if a member is private within a package? It won't be directly inside a package, obviously inside a class or with a class. This class exists inside package, and this object exists inside package. So how their visibility is, how it impact the visibility if it is within the package. What is the impact of public? What is the impact of private? What is the impact of protected? We'll talk about all that when we move to the packages topic. But for now, get a basic understanding, the core understanding. Okay, if it is private, it is like this. It is limited to a class. Okay, they are visible. Private members are visible only within a class. We cannot access them outside. You have to be clear on that. Second thing, if it is public, public members have universal access. We can access them anywhere within the class, outside the class, and default access is public. If you don't use any keyword, by default they are public. If you don't use any access modifier keyword, like private or protected, if you don't see such keywords with a method or a variable or a class, then such members are public members. You got this right? It's like this, just a quick idea. Okay, just to remember, you are in some village. Okay, private means you have gone for a holiday. Now you are locked down in the house. Then if you talk about the visibility is there. If it is a private visibility, your father has has warned you, you should be in the house itself, but inside house you can just roam wherever you want, no issues, but don't go out of house. That is private. Okay, public means he will tell you universal access means you can go, you have to be, you can be inside house, or you can go outside house, or you can roam anywhere in the same village, or you can go and visit other villages. That's public. Okay, protected means what? It is like this. Again, your father is, or mother, your parents are warning us, like saying this. If you want to go, if you want, stay in our house. Protected is like this. Or you just go to your relatives' houses. That's all. Don't go to any other houses. That is protected. Got it right? Just to remember, but it doesn't make too much sense here. Only for remembering. That's all. So protected means if I make something as protected, suppose if this variable is protected, point is protected members are visible within the same class. Okay, and they are visible to other classes in the same package. But but only to subclasses in other packages. Which classes, sir? Subclasses in other packages. Suppose in your village, everybody know about you, you can go and visit everyone. Suppose if you go to neighbor village, then there you cannot go and visit everybody's house. Why? You don't know everyone there. Then there is a choice for you. What is that? You can visit only your relatives' houses. They allow you to come to their house. That is protected. Means what? This is also like that only. If a variable is protected, you can access it anywhere in the same class, within other, even in other classes. Okay, and also anywhere in the same package, but only in the subclasses of other package. Package means nothing but okay, this one you can see here, it is showing default. You can give some name to that. Package is simple. Excuse me. It's nothing but a folder in which you created your files, your classes, your objects, and that's what package. is all about. It's just a folder. Okay. So I didn't give any name here. If you don't give any name, it becomes default package. Got it right? We'll talk about it in package system. So now again, third one, protected. You got an idea, right? You got idea about private and public. Public is declared with everything. It is declared with variables. It is declared with methods, and then because by default it is public. Constructors and classes, everything. Okay, and they are accessible anywhere. Public members have universal access. Okay, public members have universal access. Means anywhere in same package, and also other packages. Excuse me, guys. Okay, what is this? We'll talk in packages topic. Okay, next one, protected. What is protected? Protected means I just told you it is declared with all this variables, methods. I don't think we can declare protected with the classes. Let me just quickly try. And also here also we can declare an access modifier. Can you see this now? If I declare before class here, this is a private class. Okay, then if I declare private here, then what is the difference here? Private before class, private after class. What is the difference? If I declare private here, then you are declaring constructor as private, not the class. Suppose if I declare private here, you are declaring class as private. If it is a private class, what is the point here? You cannot inherit such private classes. Keep in mind. We can stop inheritance of a class by declaring it as private. That is also one more possibility. Or by declaring constructor as private, another possibility. You know, private members are pure bachelors, no marriage, nothing. Private classes, got it right? They are not inherited to subclasses. We'll talk about it in inheritance topic. But just remember, and this we can declare private with at class level as well, not only with the constructor level, method level, variable level. We can declare that as well as with class level as well. And what happens if you declare this class as private? We cannot inherit it, but still you can create object. But if constructor is private, then you cannot create objects here. If class is private, what is that? You can create object, you can access to members, but only thing is, what is it? You cannot inherit such classes. No inheritance. Purely family planning, sir. You got it right? That's all. Means you are making this as a bachelor class. Just for remembering, I am just telling you this. Okay. Got the point? It's a bachelor, pure bachelor, sannyasi. No, in Indian terminology. Okay, it's just like that's all. It's like that. Now, next one after that, private. Suppose, can I declare a class as private? I know I can declare variable as protected. We have a detailed discussion on that. There is nothing pending here. Let me just make a point, then I'll come to talk about this class here. Protected can be declared with the variables, no doubt about that. Methods, no doubt about that. And then constructors, no issues with this as well. But we can cross check, sir, no issues. But with classes, it is not allowed. We will cross check that. Second thing, what if a method is a protected? Let me just make a quick point here. Okay, if a member is a protect, not method, I'm sorry. If a member is protected, a protected member is accessible. Okay, is accessible anywhere in the same package, means within the same class, outside in other class, within the same file or other files, anywhere in the same package, and only in subclasses of other packages. I will give you a clarity on this, nothing to worry. Okay, got this right. And you can declare that protected with variables, methods, constructors, everything is fine. We'll quickly cross check all the things here. Okay, let me just show you. So I didn't mention the class thing. Suppose you see I'm declaring class as protected. Okay. Okay. It is allowing protected here. Let me just right click and say run this once. And okay, fine, no issues then. Then protected is allowed in Scala comparative to Java. I did cross check it. Fine, no issues. We can also add class thing. Suppose if you do the same in Java, by now you would have got left and right. Okay. Even protected can be applied with all members. With every member, you can make it as protected. Okay, same like private. Not private in sense the way how you declare, but there are some visibility differences. But that private members are the most restricted members. Public members are the most visible members, and protected members are okay visible everywhere. It's more like public, less like private. Okay, but accessible only to subclasses in other packages. Now, let us quickly check with other members. Protected can be declared with variables. It can be declared with methods. Just cross checking so that a practical proof for everyone. And then with the constructor. But there are some differences here again. What is it? Okay, let me leave this now. So let us just make only method as protected. Then if it is protected, is not permitted because enclosing object is not subject, is not a subclass of. Okay. Then I got this. There is a small change to the statement, guys. I think I overlooked the statement. Protected. Even we cannot access to variables as well. A dot. I cannot see A1 here. The point is so clear here. Protected members are visible only to subclasses, not even to other classes. Within the same class and to subclasses. Small correction, guys. Is accessible anywhere in the same class, not same package. I just should excuse me, or I should say sorry to all of you. Anywhere in the same class, and only in subclasses of same package and other packages. This is a small correction here. Got it right? That's all about protected. So then if that is the case, it's more like private and less like public. Why? Because even it is having the most restricted access. Okay, except to the same class and subclasses, we cannot access it to outside. And we have practically verified that. We have seen that the issue with that. But it can be declared with the class level, constructor level, and also what? Of course, you cannot create object, no doubt. Why? Because right, just now I told you, if it is protected, then constructor, then only the it is allowed to create object for subclass, not for this. We'll test it there. There's a way to test it. We'll talk about it later. Got it right? Because as we don't have subclass to apply our testing, to do a workaround on that, we'll go to the inheritance topic. And again, we bring back this and do a workaround like how this access modifiers impact that inheritance. Then we'll close that there. Got it right? So it's like more or less doing a quick around on things here. You got clarity, right? So that's it, guys. Next time, I have a quick question to all of you. If it is private, can you arrange all access modifiers from least access to highest access? Can you try that, guys? Now you know, right? You are crystal clear with everything. Somebody is asking me a question. Vera is asking, what is the use of a private class? Do we use in a real time? Yeah, but very rare, Vera, because it's very rare. Usually, to stop that inheritance, we make it as private. That is one thing. Not to make sure, to make sure that other classes don't inherit it, by mistake. We make it as private, but not sure, because in most of the cases we don't declare classes as private. That is not there. But still, when that when that kind of access is available, then definitely the architecture of language is designed keeping certain things in mind. So somewhere in some peculiar cases you might declare a class as private so that you can stop inheriting there. That is one use there. But practically I didn't come across such use case. If you ask me, in our project, like there are so many classes we have implemented, but I didn't see such private classes. We didn't declare any class as private. Mostly we don't need it. Got it, right? So what is least access? Private is having a very least access. Private is less than, otherwise let me write it like this: protected less than public. What means? Public has highest access, private has, protected is in between both, and private is having the least access. Okay, fine, right? So that's it, guys. Understood now? Understood? Or any doubts from this? Sir, are you good with this now? If it is good, then I will switch to the next topic. What about others? Rajendra or Deepak or Harish or Manoj, Prasad or Vinod? All of you are good, right? Shrikant. Fine, right? Okay. Then shall I switch to the next topic? We'll talk. This keeps coming. No, this access modifiers keep coming. We'll talk more on this. We need a more and more discussion, like when we go to the inheritance, how it impacts. When we go to the packages, how access modifier impacts. Okay, a detailed what do you call this thing is required on every area. We'll do that. That's what we do, right? Usually, we go for more workarounds to make sure that to prove everything in a practical way, so that these are all conceptual. There is nothing like we are implementing logic here. But this conceptual understanding on these topics is very important. Got it, right? This is where people struggle a lot sometimes. You got it? Understood now? Now then, Scala Anonymous objects. What is this? This is a simple topic, and we don't need much time on this. Okay, anonymous means it doesn't have any name like lambda functions. No, like anonymous function. Anonymous function means no name. We don't have any name for a method. Such methods are anonymous functions, and lambda functions are anonymous. This is anonymous object. What is an anonymous object? An object without any name. Okay, usually you might ask me, see, it's a small topic, not something too big. You can take a small example like this. Arithmetic is simple method here. We are just doing some addition. If you want, you can take instance variables. That is fine. If you don't want, you can skip it. It's up to you. You can declare local variables and then you can directly access them outside. Like it's up to you, sir. Okay. Whether to use them or whether to declare as instance variables is up to you, because now you know how to build your classes and how to make it, how to differentiate instance variables and methods and local variables as well as all this stuff. Yeah. So fine, right? That's the point. You can declare it like this. If you just observe here, this is anonymous object. You can see. Usually we declare a method like this. Let me just rewrite the same program. We create an object var or val. You can take val also, sir. It's not like every time you should declare var. If you don't want to modify, if you want to make your object immutable, then make such objects as a val type. Val some ar equal to new. You can say, okay, not here. Let's come here. Okay. We can continue with this code as well because this is also fine. Just to talk about anonymous, you can keep it like that. You can use the same code. And this is how we access it. Generally, we say this as a dot m1 parenthesis here, and you can just run it. This code, all of you know this. You are not new to this. You are pretty well well known about this. But I don't want to create an object. I don't want to have a reference to my class, but still I want to access this method. As these methods are instance methods, if method is instance or variable is instance, remember this point carefully. We cannot access them without creating object. Without object, there is no way to access instance members or instance variables or instance methods. You got this point? Then what is the way we should create object? So suppose I don't want reference, that's all. Remove this. Now right, on object itself, I can call a method like this. Instead of reference, I can say that object dot method name, new space constructor calling dot method name. We can call a method like this directly, and then say run as a Scala application. Get output. Got it right? What is the disadvantage with this approach and what is the advantage with this approach? This approach is required only in very few situations where you need an instant calling of methods. Only in such cases, you need to go for anonymous objects. Not in all cases, we use anonymous objects, an object without any reference. Such objects are called anonymous. These are used more for an instant purpose. It's like to brew coffee for us. You mean what is that, right? I don't mean it's an instant use. Suppose you just need somewhere just for only once you need an object and you need to call a method. That method might return some functionality. Well, in kind of situations, in such kind of situations, you might go for anonymous objects. But in most of the cases, going with reference is a good practice, because if you need same methods of a class or variables, now in number of places, you need to get that data in number of places. Variables of class or methods of class, you need to call it n number of times. Declaring a reference is a healthy habit or a good habit. It's a good practice. Going away this way is not a right way, because once the execution of this object is over, this is completely removed from the that stack trace. We don't have access to this again from the heap. It will lose that this thing, the reference thing. Then it is very difficult to get back the hold of this object again. So that's why reference is always a right way. And just to remember, just directly calling an object, a method with the object directly is like something like this. It's like watching a program in a TV without a remote. Suppose you just see the comfort when you have a remote and without a remote. Suppose reference is like remote, I told you. An object is like a TV, just for only remembering. Okay, otherwise you can. This example is not necessary. So if you have a remote, it's easy to switch your programs, TV programs. What I mean is, or the shows or whatever it is, movies. It's easy to change the channels when you have that remote. Suppose if you don't have that, you have only TV. Still, you can operate it, but every time you have to go to the TV and you have to change that program or channel. Again, you have to come back and sit in the sofa. This is more or like okay, without a remote. Think about it. If you don't have a reference, this is not that comfortable for us, because when should we use this scenario is anonymous objects, or when you have an instant purpose or instant use of some methods or variables of a class. Only in such cases we just go for anonymous objects. Otherwise, having reference is always a recommended approach. That's all, guys. I don't want to again take too many again to repeat it, because already it's boring. So let me just replace my example with this. That's it, guys. That's about anonymous objects. But I have a question to all of you, right? Now I have discussed about the access modifiers, private, public, and then protected. What are the standards you need to follow when you are declaring members in a class? How do you define a class? What are the standards? In a real environment, okay, data is declared as private. What do you mean by data? The variables, the instance variables, they are declared as private. You know why? Because if we declare them as private, we are giving a protection to the data, so that we are not allowing such data to access that outside the class. That is what we call encapsulation. What is it we call? Encapsulation. Encapsulation means making something private. Something is private, you cannot access it outside. Then what do you mean by that? You're providing a protection or a security to your data. That is encapsulation. And many people have a confusion between encapsulation and abstraction. Encapsulation is totally, private, and it's like, wrapping of data and members into a single unit. That's called encapsulation. Got it right? As per official documentation definition of Java people or Scala people, that's encapsulation. You can go and check it in that Oracle website. Got it right? So this is a pure encapsulation. If everything is private, and if you just make the data visible within only that unit or within the same class, that is encapsulation. If you make data as private or method as private, everything is private, it's called encapsulation. Got it right? Suppose abstraction. Again, when you look at abstraction, many people have a confusion between abstraction and encapsulation. Abstraction is protecting state, encapsulation is protecting data. As well as thinking a class is possible. There are two types of encapsulations here, loosely encapsulating, because there are two encapsulated, classically encapsulated. I talk to my members as people approach. Data standard. See, if variables are private, methods are private, if everything is private, it becomes a tightly encapsulated class. When a class is tightly encapsulated, it's something like we keep saying, right? It's good for nothing. Again, it's something like this. You have a lot of money, okay, lot of assistants, but you never allow them to use anyone. Okay, then there is no use of having assistants or money with you. That is tightly encapsulated. Money is like, data variables. Assistant is like a method. Method means functionality. When both are private and you are not allowing anyone to be useful to others, then there is no point of having all that with you. Okay, that is one thing. Second thing, that is tightly encapsulated. Suppose, as per standard convention, declaring variables as private is a standard convention. It's a very good practice, but methods you should always make it allow it to be a private. Sorry, you should allow them to be public or at least protected. If it is protected, at least we can call them in subclass. But if it is public, we can call wherever we want. Recommended is private. Protected in very few scenarios when that inheritance is applicable. But in other scenarios, making members as private and methods as public is the most common practice, is the most recommended practice we have to follow. It's a standard in coding, okay? It's a standard convention. And this is loosely encapsulated. Why? It's not 100% private. It's partially public. Here, methods are public and variables are private. And this is what it is, loosely encapsulated. Why is it? Why it is loosely encapsulated? Because I didn't make 100% private here. It's not 100% secure, but I made sure that data is secured here and methods are public. That's how you have to implement a class in OOP, not just in Scala, but even in Java, C#, or CPP, or anything. Got the point, right? So now I can just create an object for this and say new A, and then I can say that A.M1. So this is the right way. You cannot access this data directly outside, but still I have a way to have access to this data in an indirect approach through method, a public method. This is how the design principle of OOP works, object-oriented programming works. Got it, right? I thought to tell you, because when you have that access modifiers, what are the standards you need to implement in a OOP program or a class? Okay, got some idea, right? So this is one thing. What about abstraction then? Like you got an idea, right, about encapsulation. So data is declared as private. Methods are declared. Usually recommended is declared public. Okay, at least one method should be public in a class. Even though if everything is private, at least one's public method should be available. You got it? That is one thing. Next one. So we know about class, we know about object. So what is an encapsulation? Let's quickly get to the principles of OOP as well. Now, encapsulation is nothing but wrapping of data and members methods into a single unit. Let's go to the official documentation. Okay, encapsulation, because that gives more idea. This get, that's what we need to talk about, getter and setter. Not sure that this Scala talk more about encapsulation as it is coming from Java. Let me show you in Java. The concept of encapsulation doesn't change from language to language. The principle is a principle for any language. Okay, it doesn't change for Scala to Java to or C#, something like that. Okay, I'll just talk about it in from the official doc of Java. Encapsulation in Java. This tutorial point, you leave all that aside. Okay, somewhere you can find in the Oracle this thing. I'll show you, because no, I was there in Java for almost for about till 2016, almost for 12 years. I was in Java, worked in Java for about 3 to 4 years, and then trained almost for 12 years. So that's why. So that is why I am able to be good in Scala or Python or anything. Reason is I'm strong in one language. Oracle docs. Let's go to the docs. Somewhere you should find it. I'll just show you. Okay, here let me just talk about it. Now you can see here somewhere. Can you see here now? Encapsulation describes. Let's talk about the object only. This is beautiful point we have in this OOP Java. whatever it might be. You don't need to worry. Understand the encapsulation describes about the ability of an object to hide its data and methods from the rest of the world. I told you, right? Making it wrapping of variables, data means variables and methods into a single unit from the rest of the world, and is one of the fundamental principles of object-oriented programming. In Java, a class encapsulates the fields which holds the state of an object, means variables, just now I told you, and methods which define the actions of the object. Okay, it encapsulates both fields and methods. Encapsulation enables you to write reusable programs. It also enables you to restrict access only to those features of an object that are declared as a public. That's what the point. This talks about it will restrict everything in the class except something is public. That's what. And all other fields and methods are private and can be used for internal object processing. Do you get this point here, right? So this is the point you need to understand. This definition, I'm sure most of the developers and students don't understand this definition, and they don't come to the official docs. Okay, YouTube videos and website information. Sometimes you have to come to the original this documentation. It's very important. Okay. We cannot get address of where we cannot get address of object. Rajendra, you can okay. I'll come to your point. Let me finish this. We are going with some deeper discussion of encapsulation. You got it right. That is encapsulation. Abstraction means it's more like suppose I know most of you now by now I have some idea about everyone here, at least with names. Okay, like Rajendra or Srikanth or Manoj. Okay, most of you I know, at least some idea, or we know that whomever it is. Now, suppose if I ask you about your personals, like what's your name or where do you study or where do you work, you can give some details of yours. So that's what. And if I am stopping there, it's fine. Suppose if I am getting into the deeper details, like are you married, how many kids you have, how many crores of property you have, if I am asking such questions, dumb questions, then at one point you might ask me a question. You might tell me, see, you are teaching to us, it's good for us, okay, fine, but I can tell you these details to you. Other things are not necessary to you. Okay, that's what abstraction is. Abstraction means know whatever it is necessary to know and hide other details. That's called abstraction. Means what? There is a slight difference between abstraction and encapsulation. Many people get confused. So abstraction is providing essential information. Let me give you the definition. Providing essential information, hiding background details. I don't, because to teach I don't need your background details. You don't need to tell me your background details. But might be I need to know some information like your name or what you are doing. That might help you better to understand your personality. So that's what this is, abstraction. Providing essential information, hiding background details. What do you mean by that? It's more or less like a loosely encapsulated class. Abstraction is nothing but a loosely encapsulated. Okay, and one more thing. I'm sorry. Also, this is applicable for methods as well. This abstraction comes with the class point. So there is one more difference here. It talks about the implementation as well. Implementation. It's not just about variable access. The implementation. So I will talk about it. Might be this is not right time to talk about abstraction because we have a topic called abstract class and abstract methods. I think that is the better time to introduce about abstraction. But for now, I don't want to confuse you. This is like this is idea about a definition, providing essential information, hiding background details. That's abstraction. Just remember. Now, what is encapsulation? Wrapping of data and methods into a single unit. And here you have two types of encapsulation. So One is tightly encapsulated class, and the other one is a tightly encapsulated class, and the second one is a loosely encapsulated. I just told before some time, this loosely encapsulated will be an abstraction. I think that is not correct. So abstraction is a totally different thing. We'll talk about it when we go to the abstract class and abstract method. Okay? And there is another kind of encapsulation, what we call loosely encapsulated. When it is loosely encapsulated and when it is tightly encapsulated, when every member of a class is private, it is tightly encapsulated. And if most of the members are private except one or the few methods are public, because that is the only way for us to access the members of the data of class outside. So the standard is make your members variables as private, that data is private, but the methods as public. That is actually a good programming practice we do in a real-time programming. So having a loosely encapsulated class is always a better idea more than having tightly encapsulated. Got it, right? So that's it, guys. Abstraction thing we'll talk when we go to that abstract class and abstract methods. Got it? So that's it, guys, for today. Any questions? Somebody is saying, Rajendra, we cannot get address of object. Yeah, but object has address, Raj. So you can see
yes, Manohar, here when we creating an object by using a reference variable, yes, suppose we give a s equal to class name. If you give a print s means you will get a reference address, no, Manohar.
Yes. Can you see here? Are you able to see the address?
Okay, right. Yes.
Object has address. With definitely object should have address. It will have address. It's actually the architecture of this OOP.
Okay, right.
Got it, right?
Oh, yes. Thank you.
As we don't have reference, directly print the object. Then it will show you the reference. This reference we are storing in some reference variable. That's all. Nothing more than that. Okay.
Okay, right.
Got it?
Thank you.
Yep.
Yes.
I think so. We have got some clarity on certain things like access modifiers or the principles like encapsulation or abstraction. Abstraction we didn't still discuss, and the concept of the standards of declaring data and methods, and then also a few more miscellaneous. That's all today. Okay. Tomorrow we talk more on companion objects, and then I'll switch to the what is that? Also remind me about the bean, how to define getters and setters in a class, because that is one important thing you need to know, like how to define a POSO kind of class in Scala as well. In Java we call it as plain old Java object. A similar one can be created in Scala. After all, Scala is developed from Java itself. Okay, so there is nothing to worry about it. Shall we stop here? Yeah. Got it, right? We'll stop here, guys. Thank you.